list. Do you agree that Heath Ledger's Joker is one of the best performances of a character in movie history? To pull off the Oscar-winning performance, the actor put himself through a torturous process that he documented in a twisted journal. Today I'll be taking a closer look at the journal's contents, and also I'll be revealing some of the other extreme behind-the-scenes secrets from the best Joker ever seen on screen.
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy.
Heath Ledger wanted to ensure that his version of the Joker was a fresh and unique portrayal that movie-going audiences had never seen before. He definitely achieved that. But to do it, he spent around 6 weeks in an isolated hotel room. During this cabin fever-induced isolation, before it was 2020 cool, he wrote in that infamous journal, looked at source material suggested by director Christopher Nolan, which we'll look at later, and practiced different voices. In particular, he wanted to make sure that the Joker's voice and laugh were perfect before the camera started rolling. In the end, he nailed a psychopathic clown without any empathy or remorse. But it all could have been so different. Nolan and Ledger had met multiple times before the director cast him as the iconic villain. In fact, the two had been in talks about Ledger playing Batman for Batman Begins, but the actor responded by saying that he wasn't interested in appearing in superhero movies. He took himself out of the running, and Christian Bale became the Caped Crusader instead. Ledger saw this movie, and seeing what Nolan was bringing to The Dark Knight, went back to the British director about playing the Joker. This was a massive surprise to Nolan at the time, as the man at the other end of the phone was the last actor he expected to be interested in the franchise. At the time of this call, the script was still being written, but Ledger insisted and was so keen to make the role his own that it was an offer that couldn't be refused. If you can't refuse more behind-the-scenes movie facts, then give us a subscribe and you won't be disappointed. But next, you won't be able to see it, but Ledger made sure that a reference to a significant part of his life was in The Dark Knight. The Joker's fetching nurse outfit, which he used to infiltrate the hospital, had a small and very personal message on it. Just above the Dent political sticker, the name tag reads Matilda. This is the name of Ledger's then infant daughter. Matilda was just 2 years old when her father passed away. Matilda grew up with her mother, actress Michelle Williams. Williams and Ledger had dated for 3 years, but ended their relationship at the end of 2007, shortly before his death early the next year. The hospital scene might have had this behind-the-scenes treat, but we'll be debunking a common making-of myth later in the video. Ledger wasn't just an Oscar-winning actor, he was a budding director as well, with a few music videos under his belt, including one for indie band Modest Mouse that was released after his death. He had spoken about making a documentary about English singer-songwriter Nick Drake. He'd also planned to make his feature film directorial debut with an adaptation of The Queen's Gambit, way before Netflix snapped it up. Nolan was happy enough with Ledger's credentials that he allowed him to helm both of the hostage videos made by the Joker in The Dark Knight.
I'm a man of my word.
Nolan also thought that giving him the directorial wheel was appropriate, seeing as these shots were all from the villain's perspective. And that's not the only thing he gave Ledger. The British director gave Heath Ledger a huge amount of creative control and trust over the character of the Joker, but this didn't stop him from helping with some recommendations that he thought might inspire the actor in his hotel room. This included the film A Clockwork Orange, and in particular Malcolm McDonald's lead character, heavy metal music, and the paintings of Irish artist Francis Bacon. It's a palette a teenage art student would be proud of. A Clockwork Orange has characters who derive happiness from the pain of others, much like the Joker. Bacon's paintings were cited by Nolan, according to the director himself, for the corruption, this decay in the texture. One of Bacon's triptych paintings helped to influence Ledger's makeup as the Joker, which we'll have more of a look at now. The Dark Knight's makeup was created by award-winning artist John Caglione Jr. He started creating different styles for the Joker that were a lot cleaner in appearance than the final product. Even when going a little more grungy, the look still seemed too polished and professional, not the disheveled face we're used to now. Both Nolan and Ledger were keen to get the look of someone who applied the makeup himself. They gave a bit of direction to the makeup artist using those paintings we looked at earlier. Caglione eventually tried to make it look like the Joker had been wearing this self-applied makeup for days. Amazingly, he wasn't convinced it was right for the screen, but probably changed his mind when it earned him an Oscar nomination for Best Makeup. Later on, we'll take more of a look at how Ledger himself managed to manipulate his own look for the cameras, but next, the interrogation scene in The Dark Knight is one of the movie's most memorable sequences.
Tonight you're gonna break your one rule.
I'm considering it.
And part of this is because it's so gritty and realistic. That's because it is. Ledger asked Christian Bale to hit him for real. Bale once revealed that the interrogation scene was the first one he shot with Ledger, and to keep the energy up, Ledger encouraged his opposite actor to hit him for real, just like the Joker does to Batman in the movie. Bale responded by saying that he didn't need to, and that it would be just as good faked, but Ledger insisted. The late actor's commitment was such that he slammed himself around the set, and went full psycho on the interrogation room decor, which could be seen when Batman slams the Joker against them. The character of the Joker was developed by director and screenwriter Christopher Nolan and his screenwriting brother Jonathan, but it was Ledger that would bring him to life. He'd often improvise on set, and some of the Joker's most iconic, scary, and funny moments were a result of Ledger's improvisation. One example of this is when Joker, locked in a cell, sarcastically and menacingly claps for Gordon's promotion. The clapping isn't seen in the script, but Nolan liked it so much that he kept it in the final cut of the film. But there's one famous scene of improvisation that didn't actually happen the way most people think. We'll look at that one in a later fact. But next, Ledger's development of the Joker as a character was an excellent example of method acting. We've already explored the extreme lengths he went to for complete immersion into the character and explored the complex inner life of the villain. While it's totally normal for actors to go full method to stay in character between takes, no matter how crazy they seem, Jim Carrey, we're talking to you, Ledger only stayed in character as the Joker when the cameras were rolling. This is despite what a lot of people believe. In between takes, he would joke with cast members, look at his Joker journal, and smoke cigarettes. Our makeup artist from earlier, John Caglione Jr., even said that Ledger would skateboard on set. But unfortunately, the viral image of Ledger skateboarding over Christian Bale while they're both in costume isn't real and was photoshopped. That journal that Heath Ledger created during his time locked away that we looked at earlier was full of disturbing in-character thoughts and motives. It included photographs of hyenas, images from the Nolan recommended Clockwork Orange, clown makeup designs, and Joker cards. It also included some writing from the perspective of the Joker, including a disturbing list of things he thought were funny, including degenerative diseases and geniuses suffering from brain damage. The front cover has the journal titled The Joker, appearing along with a picture of an elephant and a man in a hat on a checkered floor. The last page is frighteningly prophetic, with bye-bye written in large letters, but not as prophetic as some people believe. More on that soon. Like the rest of the Joker package, as we've already looked at, Ledger was a very active part of the makeup process, working alongside John Caglione Jr. at the start of each day. Usually, an actor will hold a neutral face when getting made up, but that was the complete opposite for what was needed for the look. Ledger would make over-the-top clown faces, which no doubt freaked out his makeup artist on top of annoying him. This included opening his eyes and his mouth very wide or scrunching his face very small. This gave the natural contours and wrinkles that made the end product appear uneven and disheveled. The white, red and black would bleed along the creases in Ledger's face, giving the illusion it had been on his face for days. It helped set the actor apart from what Joker-wise has come since and what's gone before. Speaking of which, after Ledger's death in January 2008, just a couple of months after filming wrapped on the movie, there were many rumours that circulated around on if playing the role of the Joker was related to his death, or whether or not the actor had taken his own life. Looking through his diary that we saw earlier would suggest it definitely had a profound effect on him. When asked about his death, Jack Nicholson said, "I warned him," about taking the role of the Joker.
He died in New York. I warned him.
And the media jumped onto the idea that the role had somehow driven Ledger over the edge. However, his death was ruled an accident due to an accidental cocktail of prescription drugs, including sleeping pills, anti-anxiety medication and painkillers. Not that it'll ever stop the myths surrounding him. When he found out about his death, Christopher Nolan was in the process of editing the movie. The director chose to continue to edit the film in memory of his friend, and he hoped that The Dark Knight would have made the actor proud. He also felt that editing the film was a way to distract himself, and at the same time it was his responsibility to honour Ledger and the performance that he had given. There's no doubt he achieved this. Throughout the process, he said that while editing, he imagined what would make Ledger happy and how he wanted the final product to be a movie that the late star would have loved. With this in mind, he kept in certain decisions that most directors would have changed. The bank robbery at the start of the movie was also the first scene that was shot with Heath Ledger's new idea of the Joker. In a departure for Nolan, he thought this linear approach would be a good way to transition the actor into the role. The problem was that the director made a mistake while shooting with IMAX film, as the footage was slightly out of focus. So afterwards, when he watched back what had been shot, he realised that they would have to film it again. Ledger was distraught, as he thought he'd made a mistake after spending so long going through a mental hell prepping for the character. Nolan reassured his star that the character was perfect, and while they did end up reshooting, the initial performance was liked so much by the director that the slightly blurred shots made it into the final movie. Ledger's performance wasn't only good enough to ignore mistakes for, but it also terrified another actor on set. We'll look at who later on.
No. I killed the bus driver.
Bus driver? What bus driver?
Although the Joker's clown makeup was more minimalist than those of Nicholson's and Romero's versions, Ledger still needed the use of prosthetics to show his signature facial scars. These would often come loose when he spoke, so the actor had to lick his makeup to keep it in place. In the end, this ended up becoming part of the Joker's manic personality with these odd mannerisms. Either that, or it made him look like a cat. You be the judge. It also made the character look hungry for chaos, feeding off people's weaknesses, much like the script during the interrogation scene when the Joker is meant to feed off Batman's anger. This feature of the character might have been a happy accident, but the next was very calculated. We've already looked at what inspired this twisted character, but what really topped off the look was the Joker's wardrobe, which managed to stay faithful to the source material while putting a new spin on things. Costume designer Lindy Hemming has revealed that when she and Nolan started to look into what Ledger would wear, they clearly weren't fans of Prince, as they were reluctant to go too purple, but then took some other musical inspiration as they lent into the colour while giving him a more tailored look. Some of the visual inspirations for his clothes were from rock stars, among them Iggy Pop, Keith Richards, and the Sex Pistols. A widely known story about the making of the movie says that Ledger improvised the scene where he walks out of the hospital as the bombs he planted begin to explode. When the bombs stop, he looks confused and then jumps as they restart. This scene wasn't an explosive mistake, saved by Ledger's improv skills. The whole thing was planned to go like that. In fact, the scene was choreographed to perfection to let the Joker be as close to the action while still staying safe. After the film was released, audiences loved it, and critics praised Heath Ledger's performance across the board. Led by Christian Bale, his co-stars rallied for his Oscar nomination, and on the one-year anniversary of his death, the late star received a nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He won the award in 2009 and became only the second person to win a posthumous Oscar, after Peter Finch, who won Best Actor for Network in 1977. With hindsight, it seems laughable that anyone would say Heath Ledger is a bad choice for the Joker, but that's exactly what happened when it was revealed he was going to be the man to play the psychotic character. One Redditor wrote that Heath Ledger has the charisma of a lettuce leaf. Shocking that a Reddit opinion turned out to be wrong. I know. Narrow-minded fans still linked the actor with his pretty boy roles in movies like 10 Things I Hate About You and A Knight's Tale. But at this point, Ledger had earned an Oscar nomination for his work in Brokeback Mountain. By the time the movie was released, no one doubted his credentials, and in fact, it cast a long shadow over anyone who dared to take on the role in Ledger's wake, including Jared Leto, whose Joker earned very mixed reactions.
You don't want no beef? You don't want no beef?
Earlier, we saw that Ledger didn't stay in character as the Joker between takes. Not only that, but he didn't give a full performance during rehearsals either. Christian Bale said that Ledger would only do the Joker voice or laugh on camera. This meant some of his co-stars didn't realise what they were getting themselves into, especially Michael Caine, who plays Alfred. He said that he forgot his lines when he was confronted with this disturbing version of the Joker for the first time. Maggie Gyllenhaal, who plays Rachel Dawes, also confirmed that she was completely unsettled by Ledger on set, as we all were while watching this legendary performance.
Is it the scars? You want to know how I got them?